Hey guys, it's been forever since I've made a video. Actually, I've made videos, I just haven't posted them. So I wanted to kind of let you know what's going on. I have notes here, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking through, make sure I don't forget anything. So April of 2019, I was in a car accident. And it took about a month to be diagnosed with a concussion. So I had this concussion and didn't realize it for almost a month. I was just really tired and didn't understand why I couldn't get my life back. And I was trying to do work and I was just sore and I just wanted to go to bed all the time. And finally was diagnosed when they tried to do some physical therapy. I was getting really dizzy and it almost tailspinned within a month of really bad symptoms. And so they basically made me lay on a couch and not do anything, no music, no TV. You literally had to sleep or stare at the ceiling for a few weeks. So it was not fun. It was not good. So after I was able to function with this concussion gone, I went through about 3 months of physical therapy, acupuncture, massage therapy until the end of summer. And I thought, finally, yay, I'm getting pain-free. This is great. I was still having a lot of issues at work, but I have a lot of volunteers. So the one job, I had to quit my other 2 part-time jobs because I just couldn't physically do them. But the one job that I had was through a food service type of elderly food service program. And I had tons of volunteers. So basically they kept me going. And there were times literally I was laying on the table, sleeping, or not really sleeping, but resting my eyes, and they were doing the work. And it was just a bad situation, but what could you do? I just tried to do the best I could. It got to the point where finally I was pain-free, and we had, at our job, we had styrofoam, and I hated styrofoam, so I had switched to trays that we had gotten from the school. And during the time that I was going through physical therapy and all that stuff, I physically couldn't wash those trays, and so I made it easier on everybody, and I started using the styrofoam again. So at the end of summer, when I thought, hey, I'm good, I started doing my job like I would normally do, washing normal silverware instead of plastic, washing the trays instead of the styrofoam, putting out, real things. And within just a month to 6 weeks, I was hurting really bad, all up in this area here. And so that was the arm that I braced on. I was actually a passenger in the car. My son was driving on a permit. And the bar that comes down between your door and your windshield, I grabbed a hold of that and I braced, and it basically pushed my arm back like this. And I didn't think anything of it because when I went to the hospital, it didn't hurt. What hurt was my knee, because my knee, the kneecap had been popped out and then popped back in when I stepped out of the ambulance. God, and then it swelled up super huge. So they were really worried about that. But they didn't find, and they didn't do a concussion, any kind of CT or anything on me. They literally just x-rayed my knee and been you're fine. Well, turns out I had a ton of whiplash and stuff. I went to a chiropractor right after the accident because I knew I was out of alignment. And he got me back in alignment, but then that's when my concussion symptoms started coming in really heavily. So, went through all of that, started having pain back again, around September-y, October-ish. And so she decided to give me a systemic cortisone. So she gave it to me in my hip, and all it did was render my hip useless for 3 weeks. I couldn't even walk on it. It was just ridiculous. I had to use a cane almost. It was hurting so bad. I would just stand in one spot at work, and I really couldn't move around. So after the cortisone shot, after it didn't work, then I was ordered physical therapy to try to fix my arm. So by the time you go through the shot, it was already around November, and then Thanksgiving was coming. So it was after that I started getting into physical therapy, and then I couldn't really do much for the holidays, they were booked and what have you. So I think I actually started PT in January, and then after about 6 weeks of physical therapy, she's like, something's wrong and you need to go get checked out. So I went back to my doctor. I'm checking my notes. And she had me go see an orthopedic surgeon, and she did an MRI, which I had to have my loop recorder removed because I have Wolff Parkinson's White, and like 8 years ago they put in a loop recorder. Didn't do much good, doesn't matter. So I had that taken out so I could have an MRI. I did have CT scans of my head and neck, like around the concussion time, because they wanted to make sure I didn't have anything specifically wrong. And I had been seeing a neurologist during that time as well after I was diagnosed with a concussion. So I go to this orthopedic surgeon, she takes an MRI, and it turns out that the muscle that runs right here, which is called the supraspinatus, had a tear in it, about a 30% tear. And I was just like, no wonder, like, because I kept still having headaches and like my neck back here all the time. Like it would just flare up, especially like on rainy days and whatever. And I have fibromyalgia, so like that just, it kills me. So here I am, like getting ready. So, sorry, my son came in and now I'm having to slice. I had a surgery date for like the 14th or 16th of April, and then COVID hit. So everything got shut down and postponed, and surgeries all quit. And this was an elective surgery, even though I could barely work. I did end up going back to a home health care job that I had had before and said, look, hey, I got a bum shoulder. I can't really use it. Do you have anybody that I don't have to turn, that I don't have to change their bedding, and all of that stuff? And so they tried to accommodate me until I could get my shoulder fixed, because at this point I couldn't afford my copays to even continue treatment or anything, because it had been like a year of me pretty much only working one job, and I had 3 jobs for a reason. So we started, I guess, opening up in April, and then I got a call from my doctor saying, hey, surgeries are opening next week. Can you come in on a Thursday? And I said, yes, I can. I ended up giving, basically both my jobs like a week's notice that, hey, I'm having surgery next week. Good luck finding someone to cover my shifts because I have to have the surgery done. And so I had my surgery on April 30th, almost a month out. I'm supposed to be wearing a sling. You can see my X's, and I have one right back there. I told my husband he's got to call me Triple X. But the sling sits right on part of my trap muscle that has been basically holding this together for an entire year. And it is extremely painful to wear it. So I feel like I'm a little T-Rex. I have to keep this part of my arm kind of close to me, and I can only do things with my hand like this. So hence my hair is not done. I did get a perm during this time to help it look like something, because I can't physically take this arm, which is why I held it up like this, and I can't like do my hair, which sucks. So thank you, YouTube, and the ladies who have made videos on how to put your hair up with one hand. So I am a month out. I am going to physical therapy once a week because my insurance only covers 20 times. I've already used 3 of them pre this surgery for this year, and it doesn't matter that this is a whole new thing. My insurance only does 20 times. So I'm having to limit, and my husband is being trained by the therapist to help me in the meantime so that I can, I guess, have therapy at home and not have to use the insurance. But that's kind of what's happened to me and where I've been or haven't been. There's a lot of things that are not the same with me, and I'm gonna try not to cry because it's just really hard to know that like you're never the same. But neurologically wise, I am in like almost I don't want to say like a daydream state, because it's not quite what it is. It's, you're aware that you're doing stuff. Like, it's kind of like when you're driving and you know that you're driving, but you get to somewhere and you can't remember like how you know, like you don't remember the route, you don't remember how you got there driving at all, but you know that you were physically driving. Like that's kind of the way it is for me, almost all the time. So there's nothing that the neurologist can do at this point. I was supposed to have an appointment, and I pushed it back to July because I'm like, I don't want to go there. It's in a large city that has a lot of COVID outbreaks, and so like I've pushed it back myself. There's nothing really that they can do at this point for me, except for more testing to figure out exactly how bad I am now. But basically I kind of have like pre-Alzheimer's. So she gave me that loose test of, remember these things that I tell you, and then I'm going to ask you later on what they are, or she'll read part of a story. It was like maybe 10 sentences long, and then I had to tell her details of that, which I did not do well. So it's very hard for me to remember to do things. I have to write down things all the time. I have to put everything in my scheduler. I got to the point where I couldn't, like during my concussion time, like I couldn't remember how to make a smoothie. And I'd made the smoothie for like almost every day for the first, I don't know, these last 2-3 years, because it's my favorite smoothie ever. And I remember standing in the kitchen and I cried because I couldn't remember how to make the smoothie. So things have progressed and gotten better since that point, but I forget things all the time. And it seems like I don't have motivation. Like I used to have like a drive, and I would just, if I set my mind to something, like I could totally do it. But now it's more like, you would call me lazy, because I just don't have that drive, that push, that motivation to do things anymore. And it sucks because I remember the old me and I want that, but I just can't like make it happen. And so it has been extremely detrimental to my life and my family, and it's just been hard, very, very hard. So, hold it together. That is why I haven't been on YouTube, because it's just hard. And I should have documented my entire journey. Like while I was laying there doing nothing on the couch with this concussion, I probably should have been recording everything, but I have been writing everything down in a spreadsheet type of thing for my lawyer, because I have a lawyer. It's gotten way too much out of control. So yeah. So I'm going to give you some things that I've learned in this past year and a half, well, I guess year and a little bit, about myself and about other people, I guess. Number one was I was way too busy, because this forced me to way slow down, because I physically, mentally, spiritually couldn't do anything. Like it was just so hard. Like you have no idea. I didn't take enough me time. I thought that even though I was really busy, I always tried to carve out at least a half an hour to an hour for me, and maybe one day on the weekend. And that was not enough for me. Like I was so busy doing things for other people that when I couldn't do things for other people, then they just didn't like it. And that's kind of goes along with this other one. People don't like being inconvenienced for very long. So I was busy, I was doing a lot of things for other people, and when I couldn't do those things, at first they were understanding, and then they got ticked off, and then like they're not my friend anymore. Like it's horrible. Like the isolation and the loneliness that you go through, like it's just ridiculous, because people get weary. They just can't, when it's a couple months, you're gonna have like this many friends, and then a few months later you'll have this many friends, and a few months later this many friends, and after about a year, like you have your diehard friends, and they're not around much. Like they understand, but like when someone asks you, this is the worst question ever, like, how are you? I just say fine, because I'm not fine ever, and it's easier to say fine. Sorry, I'm really, really trying to hold it together. people are jealous of what you have that they want, but aren't willing to get or to do. So as my life slowed down, I took a ton of me time because I had to sleep. I had to take care of my body. I had to recoup. I couldn't physically do things. I would be asked to go somewhere, and then all of a sudden I would feel like I was hit by a truck that day, and then I couldn't, so I had to cancel. It was just to the point where I just was saying no to a lot of things that I would normally say yes to. And I slowed way the heck down, reprioritized my life, made myself a top priority, made my family a priority. I'm sorry, my dog and cat are playing in the background. Hey, stop it. And when that became an inconvenience, like I said, friends started disappearing, but you also have those ones that are mad at you because, well, I wish I could do that, but I can't. I have this job and this job and this job. And it's like, no, you can, you just chose not to. It amazes me the amount of jealousy that people have for people who just on a whim go do something. And I had that jealousy too, because my friend on a boat, middle of the Caribbean, I wish I could do that too, but really I could. If I did what she did, I could. I just chose not to. Insurance is great, but not that great. So I had PLPD on my car. My insurance paid $5,000 of medical. The other insurance is supposed to pay the rest. However, it's been a year and I am still with lawyers. So I have racked up a bunch of medical debt. I couldn't work my other two jobs, so we didn't have extra money because this food service job was to buy food for us. The other two jobs were to afford the extras that we had in our life. So we cut out internet totally and upped our AT&T plan, which was actually cheaper to do it that way. I had to get a new car, and the biggest thing I learned was really full coverage always, because then your insurance will take care of everything on their end and then get the other insurance to pay later, versus here I am fighting every week to try to find some money for a $30 copay, and if I'm supposed to go twice a week somewhere and then to the doctor, I don't have $60 to $90 just laying around because I'm not even adequately doing the job that I have right now. So insurance is great, but not that great. And it sucks if you have PLPD. And I know that it's cheaper, and I know that accidents don't always happen, but they did. I'd had PLPD basically my whole life, except for if we had a car that had payments. And so now, even though we have payments, if I didn't have payments, full coverage all the time, because it's just a big fat headache if you don't. I'm looking to see. No one knows what you're going through but you. And I have joined support groups for traumatic brain injury. A concussion is a brain injury, and I have joined groups for that, but nobody knows exactly what you're going through but you, and a lot of your family and friends won't understand. They think you should be better. Don't listen to them when they say you should be better by now. Oh, I forget things too. It's no big deal. It is a big deal. And don't let them discount your feelings because of that. I get that. That's probably the worst thing ever is I had a really good memory. I could rattle off spellings of words. I mean, I was the speller of the family. I didn't have that much issue with any kind of math or puzzles or anything. I was pretty much excellent at that stuff. Not necessarily math, but you know what I mean. And after this, I have to look stuff up on Google to spell, or I have to put it in a little, I basically talk it into my phone and then it pops up. I still can't remember things hardly at all. And a lot of people are like, oh, I forget too. But you don't forget like I forget. You don't turn around every 5 seconds and forget what you even were saying or what you walked into the room to get, or I understand that there's a progression of aging, but I'm 44. I have the brain of like a 90-year-old right now, and I just shouldn't. And so when people discount that by trying to relate to you, they're not really relating to you, and it just like ticks me off so bad. But I digress. I have also learned that I am stronger than my circumstances, because I cried a lot. It's okay to cry, okay? It's okay to cry. Maybe not on film, but it's okay to cry, because I cried so much of the loss of myself, the old self. And yeah, I have this new self, but it's almost like a mediocre, like I had like the tip-top performance brand, and now I've went down to the generic middle class brand. Like, it's just not, I'm not what I used to be, and I have to learn to deal with that. And it's okay to mourn and cry and be upset that you've lost that self. Like I said, maybe not on film. Trying to hold it together, but it's just very, very hard. And there's still days that I just cry. Like, I'm so emotional, and I'll text my husband now, and I'm gonna be like, it's crying day. Or and I tell people at my job, I'm having a bad brain day. They know what a bad brain day is, because they're all 80 and 90, and they understand what that means for them, because a lot of them are, again, getting into that pre-Alzheimer's stage where we're all the same boat now, even though I'm like they're twice my age. So I am stronger than my circumstances. I never thought that I could get through something like this, but here I am, still alive, still kicking, still pushing through. And it wasn't even that bad of an accident. And I hear that all the time, but physically, this not bad accident has like killed my body and my mind. And like, that's one of the hardest parts was, this wasn't that bad. Like, I read the stories of other people and the crap that they went through and how bad their accidents were and their hospital pictures, and they bounce back. And I'm like, why do I feel like I'm just like them, but I didn't have all the stuff that they went through? And that's just, it's hard. It's hard when other people tell you that the accident wasn't that bad, that you should be better by now, and you're not. So the last thing I've learned is that the body is freaking utterly amazing. I have went through so much trauma with the concussion, the whiplash, the shoulder, the knee, mental, like this whole brain chemical thing, and like my body is repairing itself. And I'm just like in utter awe of all of this. But having said that, I have to make a part 2, because I have gained all my weight back that I took 2 years to get rid of. And that's another hard part, but that's for part 2.